Hi everybody, my name is Sergey Belayev and I'm an MBA student at University of Hartford. I'm 2/3 of the way through, not so bad so far. I think GPA is 4.0. But this video is a part of our success story, which is a leadership and management course project. So in this project we're supposed to share our experiences through the life being leaders, being managers, and how that ties up with the material of the course. I should say that it's not very typical for the culture I'm part of, which is, I'm originally from Russia, Moscow, to brag about your successes and your achievements. But I see the value in sharing my personal experience with whoever is standing right now and facing the future, and will probably have to make very similar choices to what I had to make. So I had a very successful career, both financially and as a manager or a leader. And honestly, I never dreamed to be a leader. My kind of goal, my kids' ambitions were to become a scientist, and I graduated from Moscow State University studying social behavior mammals, and then somehow I become first temporarily, and then 20 years later, a little bit less temporarily, a banker. And it was a career where I started as a bank specialist, and moving up the corporate ladder to become a trader, to become the head of different departments, to become member of the board, whatever, vice president, executive vice president, etc. And I would say the summit, the top of my career, was when I became the chief executive officer of Trust Investment Bank in 2003 in Russia. That was a leading investment bank in Russia at the time. Our main shareholders was the biggest corporate in Russia at the time, a company called Yukos, that's a oil giant, which belonged to Khodorkovsky and his partners, and actually which was taken away by Mr. Putin and his cronies in 2004. That's a different story. So I had a chance to manage a lot of people. I had a chance to go through endless managerial decisions or leadership decisions, and I have to say that most of my experience was actually based on practice. I took some leadership courses, I studied some management books, but most of my views were formed through trials and errors, and I had a lot of those. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes. I have to admit it, but if you study the Leadership Challenge book, by Kozes and Posner, I think you can actually bypass a lot of those mistakes, because what I think is true about leadership and management based on my career is pretty much what these guys are telling you in the book. So I should probably try to go through some of the main kind of issues in the book and align it with my personal experience. So first is to model the way. And that is the part that is based on values and beliefs. Well, any person has a belief system or value system, regardless of whether we consciously know that, whether we accept it or not. It really does help, for the leader to look deep inside and ask relevant questions and come up with what you truly believe in, what your belief system is, where you stand. Why it is important? Well, because there'll be a lot of choices to be made, which would be very, very difficult choices. with huge consequences. And regardless what you're going to do in your life, you'll have to face them. And when you make those choices, the most difficult ones, based on your belief system, you do not regret then the consequences. You're happy and ready to face what the outcome is going to be as a result of that decision. The best thing is to, when you ask later, or when you look yourself at some of your previous decisions and ask yourself, well, why did I do that? And the answer is, well, simply because I truly believed that it was the right thing to do at the time. This is the best answer. Then you can sleep well. Then even if it was a mistake, it was a mistake you would do again if you were, put in the same situation again. So I do believe it's a great tool for any leader to have, an understanding of a belief system and value system. Then another part is set the example. Well, I had a chance to meet a lot of leaders through the years in my banking career. One of them was Mr. Khodorkovsky, and he was the richest guy in Russia, probably in the world at the time when Mr. Putin decided to take his company away. There were some stupid allegations, so he was put in a jail for 10 years, basically for mending his ways with Putin's beliefs that business should not be involved in the politics. Part of it was just economical reasons to take his company. So he spent 10 years in prison. Okay, so he comes out, and instead of spending his time with family and kids, he devotes all of his efforts and all his resources to develop Russian society, to promote democracy, to help a new generation of political leaders in Russia to start their careers. I think it's a great example. And I think it's a great example of also social responsibility and the way people see it. The other point is inspire shared vision. Well, we tend to organize our perception about images, and images is the easiest thing for people to grasp, a complex subject. So I do believe to create that image of a future for your company that would be easily understood and actually shared by your employees is one of the best ways to give company direction. It doesn't have to be very formal. I think the best what works if it truly touches everybody who is part of your organization. Truly set up a standard how your decisions will be made, how your processes will be organized, and it's important that people would support it. Another part is challenge the process. Well, when our investment bank in the early 2000s was pioneering a lot of new products, a lot of things which were never done before in Russia, and we pioneered tons of stuff. It was not easy to do, we had a different accounting system, we had a different legal system, so any of the complex deals, any of the complex transactions that we had to start, in Russia, were very, very challenging. But we did it anyway. We were successful, and we were successful because we had a goal. We made a lot of mistakes on the way, but we were looking at those mistakes as a necessary part of the path. It's just you try something, it doesn't work. You try something else, it doesn't work. And then you try again something else, and well, now it works. Were those previous tries mistakes? No, it's a part of the way. It's a price to pay if you want to achieve anything. So you have to take the risk. You have to experiment. You have to be brave and not afraid of new developments. Enable others to act. Well, the team is an important part of any achievement, of any company process. And it's based on the premises that the strength of a team is not just an arithmetic sum of the strengths of members of the team or their abilities. It's actually something more, because when combined together, they're much faster and much more efficient to find a solution than any single person, by itself. And you have to make sure that people understand it. You have to create a climate of collaboration within that team. You have to support the ones which are, for some reason, are weaker, or some that are trying, and some that are facing difficulties. But altogether, if you are able to build a team where everybody helps each other to achieve a common goal, that's would be a perfect example of enable others to act. Encourage the heart. Well, part of the process is to be able to recognize personal achievements of every team member, of every player, of every employee, essentially. It could be done in different ways, but you have to celebrate little victories. You have to make sure that achievements are well noted. You have to build your system of recognizing those achievements, recognizing those little victories, and make sure that they are paid bonuses, or somehow else people would feel that whatever they devoted, whatever they achieved is noted and respected within the organization. So compensation system is a big part of it, I believe. The social responsibility part. Well, when we were trying, the way we looked at what we did as an investment bank was to be a bridge between international investments and Russian corporates and Russian infrastructure, because that's the only way you can achieve something. It's through investments into infrastructure, into the companies which take care of business, which take care of education, health, that promotes personal economical successes. So I think we kind of had this big picture and big view, and everybody was proud of what they're doing. It does help to make some money on the way, but I think to be a part of this bigger picture, to be valuable for the country, is also an important thing. The last point I wanted to tell about is that I've been in different positions, and I would say that being a CEO is a lot more responsibility, is sometimes a little bit more rewarding, but there's no significant difference between a CEO position and the position of a head of the department or just a specialist. What matters at the end is if what you're doing is something that you want to be doing, if it brings you happiness, if it brings you satisfaction. So being involved into something that you consider right, into something you consider personally challenging and motivating, is much more important than what is your exact position in a corporate ladder. So don't spend your time on something insignificant. As one person said, it takes equal amount of time for something important and for something unimportant. So why should we spend any time on unimportant things? Well, good luck in your endeavors, and I hope you will succeed in your life. Thank you.